jana. Ogun security lo mu alanfani. Àwọn akèrèfín àwọn.
It's another episode of the Global Security Brief. I'm Ogunlana. I'll be your host. I'm the founder of Ogun Security Research and Strategic Consulting LLC. OSRS for short. At OSRS, we help government, business, and institutions stay secure through cyber risk management, AI governance, and strategic intelligence consulting. And basically, we make sure people, system, and data, everything stay protected in this unpredicted world. You can check what we do on our website. Now, before we get started, I want everyone to do me a favor, very quick one. If you haven't already, like, share, and follow this channel, well, please do that. It really helps us, to grow and reach more people around the world, those who really care about security, about leadership, about technology. So please do like and share. Today's topic is one that really sits right in the intersection of global politics, security, and leadership. And we're talking about Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, one of the largest economies, and a nation, honestly, or quite frankly, is facing some serious internal security challenges. And over the past few years, we have seen growing concern about terrorism, banditry, and also communal violence. And recently, President Donald Trump made an intentional headlines when he hinted a possible U.S. humanitarian intervention in Nigeria, calling the situation a genocide. Now, that statement has stirred up a lot of debate. I saw the African Union and ECOWAS statement yesterday, not only about Nigeria's internal problem, but also about how the international community view African crisis. And for us to unpack this today, I'm joined by human rights advocate and former, I think you are still running again, but he used to be former presidential candidate for one of the biggest parties in Nigeria, and he's still aspiring again. He's also one of the rare, people who started out in activism and went on to build an impressive career in politics and business. It was actually recognized by Amnesty International, if I could remember very well, as a prisoner of conscience back in 1989 for his fight against military dictatorship. If we're talking about those who really fight for the kind of democracy we have today, the name Gbenga Olawepo-Hashim is among the top 10. Later, he became a chairman of Oil World Limited, a major player in Nigeria energy sector, and he earned his master's degree in global affairs from the University of Buckingham in the UK. So if you're talking about expert, business-wise, academic-wise, I don't usually call him a doctor because he has lived a very simple life. One of the questions I want to ask him for so long time is different from typical Nigeria. By the time they are making progress, they become chief, doctor, Mr., OFR, everything you say, but he has lived a very simple life. So it is an honor to have you here, and welcome to the Global Security Affairs, Dr. Olawepo. I'll call you doctor today because you actually
Thank you, Dr. Ogunlana.
Yeah, so
it's my pleasure to be with you. And thank you for all those kind ones. You have also been active as an activist, having been Secretary General of the Continental Student Union body. And I think with you, we have come a long way decades back, examining issues and always seeking peace and security of Africa. Thank you.
You are welcome. It's an honor to have you again. And let me start. Nigeria's security challenges are all over the news. Terrorism in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, and in a general sense, you've seen unrest across the country. You have watched this evolve over decades. How will you describe the situation right now in Nigeria? Let's talk about how.
Well,
Yeah.
to talk about genocide is to make it mild. Maybe because it's coming from President Trump, and there was some slant to it about whether it was coming from the Christian lobby in the US. People want to really undermine the seriousness of what and where we are. It's not just genocide that is taking place in Nigeria. There is wide-scale human rights abuse that is going on in the country. And the government is not in control of the situation. And as you know, as a policy practitioner, the issue of massive violations of human rights, genocidal killings, have long left the purview of individual states because terrorism is ubiquitous. It has no border. That's why the conversations after the bombing in September, the killings in September 11 in the US, due to the hijack of planes by militants, leading to massive death in America, terror, created a situation whereby terrorism is now discussed as a global crime. So it has limited the sovereignty of states because even the actors themselves are transnational in nature. The terrorists get their weapons from the international community. They take over mines and major international clients buy the proceeds of in the new global world has been impacted. Whether it is in the area of communication, now you have all the devices. We're talking, transcontinentally. Monies are moving around in 24 hours through Western Union and many other financial platforms that are no longer called Western Union. They have all kinds of hubs now and then you have even things like Bitcoins and all that, which no central bank can control. So all these has limited the sovereignty of states. So it's old school for people to be rehashing doctrine of sovereignty, especially in the face of massive human rights violations and genocidal killing that are going on around in Nigeria. Whether they are targeted against Christian or animists or Muslim is immaterial. The point is, people are dying in staggering numbers by the admission of the Federal Office of Statistics. Killings due to terrorist activities in Nigeria has doubled in 2025. In the first 6 months, the numbers outstripped all the numbers for the year 2024 by the Federal Office of Statistics. Amnesty International reports shows that since President Tinubu came into power, there have been 10,215 deaths related to the activities of bandits and terrorists. These are the documented ones. I'm not talking about undocumented ones. These are the ones that were reported, that were verified. And you know what? 80% of those killings occurred in 2 states, Benue and Plateau.
Okay,
What's the faith professed in those states? Christianity.
We will get there.
Yeah.
And what you've said is so insightful, all those overview. But I'm concerned about the blame game for so long time. We've blamed international community sending weapons to Africa to cause crisis, not only in Nigeria. We've seen that in Congo. We've seen that in all part of Africa, and we have not been able to do anything about it. In your opinion, whatever is happening in Nigeria today, is this primarily as a result of weak leadership, poor institutional capacity, or both? So, what's your assessment about that? I know you mentioned.
All, and including those ones you have not mentioned. Now, the people in government in Nigeria prioritize personal and private interests above national security. Okay. How would you explain that Nigeria does not have ambassadors in most countries right now?
Maybe they want to cut funding. Maybe they want to cut funding.
They are not cutting funding. They are giving private lobbyists the money. They are giving their friends the money. They are not cutting any funding. All right? They are wasting the money over meaningless projects such as what they call the coastal road, where nobody knows how much per kilometer. Even the Minister of Works cannot tell you it costs so amount of money.
And that leads me to
the people who are implementing the project are the president's son and friends. No bid was done in violation of the fiscal responsibility. So they have impoverished the people by increasing the price of petrol. Now, the price differential is being shared between the president and the governors in the various states. They all have big money in their pockets now, but they are not using it for the national priority. So it's not a question of lack of funding. They have eliminated the subsidy. They have huge and tons of money, but their priority is not the people. Their priority is not national security. Their priority is not to have decent communication with the global partners through legitimate channels of international relations. I've said to you, how can you be facing this kind of war? Nigeria is facing internal war in about 3 regions right now. The Northwest, the Northeast, the North Central. So then you must add the security situation in the Southeast. In 4 regions, Nigeria is fighting internal war. What is happening is war. When you have 10,215 people killed in 2 years in a particular region, what do you call that?
Okay, many experts believe that
they are not getting their priorities right. They're not getting their priorities right. You are blaming President Trump. Hearings have been going on in the U.S. Senate for so long on these issues before it got to the attention of President Trump. All right? And where is your ambassador? Who is speaking for you in the U.S.? If you have a viewpoint, who is talking for you? So you have an inept and corrupt administration. And you cannot hide under sovereignty. And people will just continue to die. I don't buy that issue. I think people are trying to excuse their own ineptitude and irresponsibility. You understand? And because most of them are very far away from the region. I'm from the North Central. The people dying are our people. They die in Kwara. And what do you call a situation where people move into villages, kill the people? It's not community crisis where 2 people are fighting. People are sleeping, you go there and butcher them. And after killing them, you occupy their houses and sleep in those houses. And there is no response on the ground. So you waive your sovereignty when you are complicit in the crime. It is complicity in the crime that will make the armed forces of Nigeria not to have adequate response to protect the people. Because billions of money have been given to Nigerian government in assistance as well as even in budgetary application. So they have all the weapons to deal with the situation. It's not a question of lacking weapons. It's that they are complicit in the crime. Okay. All right? So at some point in time, when we stabilize the situation, we will look at the issue of complicity. So it's not just genocide that is going on. So don't let anybody just confuse the situation. And we cannot distract ourselves by long diplomatic niceties. What has African Union done? When there was genocide going on in places like Darfur, Nigeria sent troops to stabilize the situation. When genocide was going on due to the activities of armed rebels in Sierra Leone, okay, when people are being killed in Liberia, Nigeria sent troops under ECOMOG.
Maybe they don't have the capacity.
So where is the ECOMOG of African Union?
They don't have
Why is the ECOMOG of African Union?
Maybe sorry for cutting you. Maybe they don't have the capacity. You know, Nigeria is the biggest economy, the biggest military, and now we have been balkanized. If you look at the North Africa, they don't even see themselves as Africa again. I'm talking.
South Africa has the money to fund a mission. Even
we
if
don't
they
see any record that
Nigeria
Nigeria never asked for that help. Nigeria must ask before they do that. So they respect Nigerian sovereignty. Before we went to ECOMOG, so
if they don't want US to do that, they don't want Trump to act unilaterally, then the leaders of Nigeria and the AU must act responsibly to stop the killings in Nigeria. I've not seen that level of responsibility. Before Trump, I've been talking about the need for Nigeria to have a defense cooperative agreement with friendly nations. If you don't like the US, there are countries like Uganda, there are countries like Rwanda who have had similar situations, and they have forces that are disciplined now. You understand? You could have structured, a kind of agreement with them, but because the people in Nigeria government don't want to stop the killing, they are part of the killing. So this is the issue.
So sad, so sad.
They are complicit.
Talk about impact.
They are complicit. They are complicit.
So that's good. That's good. So well stated. But what do you see as the underlying causes fueling this unrest? We've talked about impact, the killings, where they are killing. What do you see? So is this stems from deep, rooted socio-economic challenges we are facing? We are coming back to talk about the issue of President Trump. But
no.
What are the real causes?
It is all combined. Number one, there is a struggle by a disparate group of international terrorists active in the Sahel that are looking for land and resources. These hoodlums were taken to Libya by the Obama administration and Sarkozy under the NATO. When they finished there, they were all taken from Syria. Some of them were ISIS, some of them were all kinds of things. They didn't clean up properly. These hoodlums spread all over the Sahel region. All right? They were in Mali, they were up to even Central African Republic, they are in Burkina Faso. Now, that prompted some changes in those countries. Because they are small countries, the military came back. Some of them went and made some agreement with the Russians and all that. Nigeria is a huge democracy. We cannot allow military rule to happen in this place. You understand? But at the same time, we cannot tolerate corrupt, inept, and dictatorial civilian rule that is accountable to nobody and irresponsible. So we have to get to a point whereby we have a conversation as to what can we do in the interim to stabilize the situation, not to jeopardize democracy, as well as to guarantee security, because the people are not going to eat democracy. The people are hungry. In 10 years of APC rule, Nigeria's GDP has been reduced by over 50%. In 2013-2014, Nigeria's GDP was $574 billion US. Today, Nigeria's GDP is 259 billion. What you call the American Depression of 1929 was a shape of about 10% in GDP. What you call this over 50% shave in the GDP of one's African largest economy is more than depression. It has no economic corollary in history. This is disaster, complete disaster. We don't need Donald Trump to tell us that we're living in a disastrous situation. When this kind of disaster happens to any country, the instability you have is the kind of instability you are seeing. So there is an internal logic for this instability and insecurity as a result of the massive contraction in the economy. Secondly, you have an international dimension in which armed groups of terrorists that operated in Libya and who have spread to the Sahel are now in control of various mines. Where you see lithium, you see them there. And who are the people buying the lithium? It's China. All right, so it's not for fun that China was the one to make statements before you started seeing statements from the EU and all that.
What about Russia? Russia.
I don't want some of, and the other partners. You see, China has a lot of influence on the EU. China has a lot of influence even on the EU. So I'm not surprised that after China has made those statements, but all those are statements. And for me, I think President Trump is very forthright. I like it. You know, he knows what he wants. And if you have any concern, you have to sit down and discuss something and act responsibly. A lot of leaders are not acting responsibly in the world. That's why our world is getting so battered and so horrible. You cannot, compare the leaders you have even in the European Union with the leaders they used to have before. There's a whole generation in the quality of leadership globally. And so people cannot just
Doctor,
just
hang on there. So let me ask you this question. With what you just told me now, it seems you are in support of intervention instead of partnership. So you want intervention of the United States, not partnership.
No, it has to be discussed.
I've been talking to you for some time.
Look.
Your position has always been
intervention can become partnership when you discuss and negotiate the scope of the intervention. You understand? But you cannot say nobody should do anything. It's our business. Because Tinubu and co went to the White House to invite Obama to intervene in Nigeria election before their party seized power. So they call for intervention first, himself and Buhari. So they cannot cry about intervention now. And because they are friends, the Democrats are no longer in government, they are crying. It is they brought the Democrats to intervene in Nigeria election. And this mess was created by Obama, a Democratic government. So there is a lot of politics also involved in this thing. And I don't want people to play politics with human life. All right? We have to stop the killing now. And if Trump is serious about stopping the killing, is a welcome development. What we need to do as patriots is to negotiate that scope of intervention in a way and manner in which it does not become an occupation. That's all.
Thank you very much. Let me go back to one thing you mentioned. You once said that you cannot police hungry people. So clearly to me, our response, the Nigerian government response, should go beyond military force. Is that what you are saying? I mean, it should be comprehensive.
They are not even responding militarily anyway. They are not making any response because they are the creator of the problem. They are part of the problem. They are not making any response. What Nigeria needs is a credible regime change through the ballot box. This government has to leave by the next election. They have to leave power. But they are not planning to leave. They are still trying to sit tight. They are causing confusion in all the opposition parties. They don't want electoral reform. They want people to continue to die and people to be hungry. And they will now say, hey, nobody should intervene. It's our own internal affairs. I mean, who's going to take that kind of nonsense? When they wanted to sack the Jonathan government, they went to the White House. They went around the world and they were asking for help. But now, when they need help most, which is to stop the killing of our people that are dying, they are saying they're hiding under sovereignty. I mean, nobody's going to take that seriously.
Okay, let me come back to you. because part of what we've seen in Nigeria today is that people don't prepare for leadership. And we've seen that failure on the part of the present government with what you've mentioned, because people brought out the tweet of uh, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu when this happened under Jonathan's government. We've seen so many promises and everything. So let me go back to you. You are aspiring to lead Nigeria. You have consistently advocated for security reform. So if today you have opportunity, how will you approach all these things we talk about? How will you approach national security? What will be your own doctrine, your national
Number one,
doctrine?
I'm going to develop a defense cooperative agreement with our partners and friends of Nigeria. All right? Because the crisis itself is international. The flow of arms, the training that created the imbalance in the balance of force between African security agencies that tilted it in the favor of the terrorists was created by external intervention. Obama and Sarkozy are responsible for this. So we will have responsible communication with the US government to show that, look. Even though it's not Mr. Trump that created the problem, but Mr. Obama, who was US president. So this problem, you also have to take some responsibility. We should have such conversation in a very, civilized manner. And then we will see what kind of internal security forces we can create as a result of this intervention in terms of their support and so on and so forth. We will definitely need boots on the ground, to create some stability before we can begin to retrain, and create a very useful force. So boots on the ground by partners will be welcome, but we have to negotiate it. You understand? And when people start getting some religious group to start making noise, say, it's going to help the Christians. This is diversionary because America is helping Saudi Arabia. You can't be more Muslim than Saudi Arabia. America has a base in Qatar. So what is all this noise about some Muslim who don't want to see the Americans and who don't want to see Christianity? I don't think anybody seriously, should be concerned about international cooperation. As long as it is defined, it is strategic, it is limited. I'm going to definitely cooperate with all partners, including African countries who want to help. Nigeria needs help now because Nigeria cannot really help itself now. Okay? Yeah. So you have a president in me that really acknowledges the fact that we need help. And I'm going to work with responsible partners to ensure that we end this killing immediately. So immediately.
You will decentralize. That's
number one. I will have, there will be a program of multilateral cooperation, multinational corporations too, with partners that want to help to end the killings in Nigeria immediately. We need help. And we must have a structure to do that without necessarily undermining our sovereignty. I know Nigerians don't like intervention. We, yourself, myself, we always kick against intervention. You understand? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, this was our tradition in the student movement in those days, from when we had the British Anglo Defense Pact. Student of University of Ibadan, you were in Ibadan as student union leader. You marched from Ibadan to the parliament in Lagos. We don't want Anglo Defense, secure, and blah, blah, blah. So we don't like interventions. You understand? But the issue is here that we have to save life. All right? And then we have evolved beyond 1960. Okay. The issue of security crime now transnational, more than they have ever been before. So no country can ignore the scope of international cooperation. And there have been many treaties, since September 11 on counterterrorism treaties, and even under the auspices of the United Nations, there are loads of instruments for international cooperation. But don't let us leave where we are starting from here. There is a Mr. Trump who is ready to help immediately. Let's take his help and make sure that we negotiate the scope of his intervention. That's the only thing I see that any responsible government in Nigeria should be talking about. And then in the economic realm, I mean, I've developed a plan to take Nigeria economy to $4 trillion, the GDP, in a scope of 8 years. And Nigeria is able to achieve that. It is achievable. After Nigeria's independence, our nationalist leader, who took power before military rule, grew Nigeria economy. So by 1966, the GDP of Nigeria was twice the GDP of Malaysia. Nigeria GDP was 6.3, Malaysia was 3.1 billion US dollars. Indonesia was $5.8 billion in 1966. Okay, so we can do it. Indonesia is programmed to get to that same target you are talking about in the next 8 years, because the same Indonesia today has a GDP of $1.3 trillion. This was Indonesia that was less than Nigeria in terms of its GDP in 1966. So we understand what to do. And we will take the GDP of Nigeria in 8 years. You understand? Our people are very resilient people. They are industrious people. Those are the greatest assets of Nigeria. We have always been entrepreneurial in our character, even before independence, even during the period of pre-colonial rule. Nigeria supplied all the lubricants that move the engines in Europe.
I just want to bring you back to security and what you've just mentioned. You're going to decentralize security architecture, economic inclusion, and one thing which is missing, but partially, if you are going to have cooperation, is have intelligence and technology, where we have to invest in our data-driven policing, surveillance, and interagency cooperation. And key area, human
all these are
accountability.
going to be part of the defense
but
and security cooperation agreement.
Let me say this, like fella music. Anytime you see army, they leave blood, sorrow, and tears. And that is what we've seen in most of the intervention we've seen by the superpower, Libya, Syria, Sudan. So, and that's why people are so wary about, even President Trump mentioned it, that at times we don't just intervene because we want to win. We just want to go and bomb people and make them miserable. So at times they intervene without completing the job. So in all this, I think about accountability. Let's think about how we're going to ensure accountability within such a kind of broad system. And also, we talk about border security, especially the influx of small arms and foreign fighters. In the same U.S. Congress, one person has came out and raised his hand and said, "Look, we suspected USAID funding Boko Haram, funding terrorism around the world." And the same people turn around and say, "Okay, look, we are going to be the policeman, we are going to be your gatekeeper." So how do you envision balancing Nigeria's sovereignty with the need for global security cooperation in view of all those?
Now, these have to be encapsulated in a defense cooperative agreement. All right. The accountability, even the operational manual, all these have to be discussed. What scope of intervention, all this is to be encapsulated in it. But before you go into a detailed negotiation, at least you first have what you call a framework agreement, which sets the broad objective and schedule. All right. And then the reporting mechanism to implement the framework agreement is where you be able to deal with the issue of accountability. How do you account when this happened? How do you account for this? But at this stage, we should have a framework agreement before we go into the whole details, because really what we want to do now is just, let me tell you what I see and what I've been saying for the past 2 years. You see, in some northern states, i.e. Katsina, okay, Kebbi North, part of Kaduna State, and Zamfara. The terrorists are literally running those places. They have acquired the capacity to declare a jihadi state like ISIS.
General Damba, to buttress what you are saying, I listened to General Damba's presentation 2 days ago. He said they're actually collecting taxes from people.
They are collecting taxes in Sokoto, not just in these states alone. They collect taxes. Most of the state governors, they come to Abuja, take the money, and go and buy properties in Dubai and other places. The terrorists run the rural areas, and the mullahs provide the political direction and leadership in between government and the mullahs. That is where we are now. Now, this should be of concern to everybody in the world. Those states are too large and the resources in them too serious to be available to another ISIS. All right. So there is actually no governance. I mean, Nigerian territory is being substantially now governed by hoodlums and terrorists, non-state actors. So what sovereignty do you have over those territories when those people are collecting taxes? You know, it's just stupidity for anybody to be talking about sovereignty when these people are collecting taxes in almost half of the states of northern Nigeria. Now, when they now have the capacity and they do declare a state, you are going to now have mass program because they will fall on the north central states that are Christian dominated now from those places. And the world will see a bloodbath that had never been seen before. So you want us to wait for that. Mr. Tinubu does not know what is happening or is pretending not to know what is happening. When there was killing in Benue and he had a shouting match with the paramount ruler of the chief nation because he was saying, be accommodating to your neighbors, it's a communal problem. And the people say, well, this is not a communal conflict. People come into villages to kill and harm people. It's not a clash. So you can see that they don't even get it. These guys don't get it. All right? And I feel it. I know it because this is my region. This is my region. I was born in Kebbi, Yelwa Yauri. I grew up in Niger, Kwara, and I've done my politics in FCT and Plateau, Benue. All this North Central is my constituency. So I know what is happening here. I'm not talking theory. Most people from Southwest and Southeast, they don't feel any emotional attachment to the people that are dying. They just see them as numbers. Community leaders call me when this thing happened in our village. These people are here and all that. So please, nobody should confuse anybody about sovereignty. Anyway, we know what sovereignty means. You are not exercising any sovereignty right now. The hoodlums are the one exercising sovereignty over your territory.
They're the one collecting taxes, doing everything. Anyway, before we close, just in 1 second, I want you, because Nigeria need message of hope at this point in time. I mean, just say
the hope that I have is, I'm a Christian, and the last time, 2 weeks ago, when we said God should cut short the days of evil. Now, if it is based on what leaders do and what some even ordinary Nigerians do, this evil will not end. but it will end only by the mercy of God. And probably Mr. Trump's intervention is one of the mercy of God that Nigeria needs to enjoy. And it's not going to be a blanket attack. I don't support blanket intervention. We should negotiate it. So if that has given us the impetus for urgent conversation on a way out, it's a welcome development. Hope is coming. There will be restoration. We have seen countries like Rwanda where they were even slaughtering themselves. They have enjoyed stability. So we can stabilize the situation.
Rwanda is a very good example. And I don't know, thank you very much. I don't know how to thank you for this thought-provoking discussion. Your perspective actually reminds us that security is not just about weapons or borders. It's about justice, opportunity, and trust, the one which, of course, we don't have now. Before we close, a final note. Ogun Security Research and Strategic Consulting LLC is a security and intelligence firm based in Texas, United States. We are your trusted partner when it comes to international security, cybersecurity, AI governance, and strategic risk management. Whether you are in government or business, we are going to equip you, to face today's security challenges with confidence. And you can visit our website, to read more about what we do. If you enjoyed this episode, I want you to please like, share, and subscribe to Global Security Brief Podcast. Follow us across all platforms and join our growing network of professionals dedicated to advancing global security. Again, my name is Oludari Ogunlana. Thanking you for listening. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and always remember, like our guest mentioned, security begins with understanding. See you next time.
Where the hackers hide, we rise above with a trusted